Sometimes you just need to take the slips out and bowl defensively. And you also need to be careful with your computer's defense as well. If you need a VPN, go Nord. NordVPN.com/Kimber to get a 2-year contract with a discount, plus 4 extra months and gifts in some markets. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the show notes. So put in some dot balls and turn them into maidens via NordVPN.com/Kimber.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 31 of the Crickpicks podcast, in which I, Behram, who you can find at Def Mango, Jarrod Kimber, who you can find literally everywhere, and right beside me, and Estelle Vasudevan, who you can find at Estelle_Vasudev, the number 1 on Twitter. What we'll be doing in this show is that we take any random cricket category and we draft our top 5 picks for that particular category. And the way it works is that it'll be a snake-style draft competition. So the order goes 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. And the topic for this particular Crickpicks episode is most iconic cricket grounds. And Estelle has pick number 1. So go ahead, Estelle, surprise us.
Yeah, it's not going to be a surprise.
Is it Pisara?
It could have been if I was like, if I got like pick number 3, but unfortunately I'm up front, so I'll go with Lords at number 1, home of cricket.
Oh, I actually thought she would have picked something else.
So did I.
Yeah.
I might pick
Seriously?
the other one just to annoy her in a minute.
I might have gone with that for my first pick. I really love that ground. Anyway,
Lords,
Okay.
okay. A little bit vanilla, but
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be some people that will like
home of cricket, so I guess she has, popular
Yeah,
vote.
yeah, I had to go with it. Like I said, if I had like the second or third pick, I'd probably have gone with something else.
that. Fun fact, Thomas Lord, who it's named after, tried to sell the ground off to put apartment blocks on there at one stage. And what I find great about that is they didn't go, maybe that's not the guy to name it after. Let's change the name. They just kept it. Am I next?
Yes, but just on Lords, I've been there 2 days in a row, or by the time this episode comes out, I've been
There multiple days.
Yeah, I've been there 7 days in a row or something like that. But I like the element of how it's super old, right? 1814. Then the museum is super cool. I don't know if you've been there as a tourist, but there's like that dead bird that, Imran Khan's father or uncle hit. Jahangir Khan, I think it was.
Someone killed.
Yeah. Someone killed a bird and the bird is still there. And then you also have the members stand, the long room, and the very cool looking JP Morgan Media Center. So it's not a terrible pick, but I do agree it is kind of vanilla.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to go with the obvious choice here, which everyone was going to go with first, the MCG, because it's the only cricket ground in the world. I don't understand why we're doing this. I don't understand what we're going to pick for our other ones. One thing I like about the MCG is Lords is owned by the members, and they talk about that quite a bit. And the MCG's motto is the people's ground. And I think if you've been there, you will get that. It doesn't always work particularly well, but I'll tell you one cool story about the MCG is they used to let you go in with your own alcohol.
Oh.
And my dad used to go in with this big, giant, long box of beer with him and his friends, and they would carry it in. I don't know how they got it up from the station. They would carry it in. And even if the play finished, you could stay there and drink until the end. I just think that's exactly what cricket should be about.
I think it's a great ground to host finals. Of course, there's a bit of bias over there, 92 final, but it's got those Coliseum fields. What, 100K capacity? Something like that, right? It's massive in that
They
regard.
got 121,000 people in once to see an evangelical preacher.
Wow. And it's quite old as well, 1850s, I think 1854, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it is quite prehistoric, but I mean, aesthetics, not as like up to par with some of the other grounds, even though it's massive.
It's not as much of a cricket ground as some of the others, but it's more of a coliseum than most grounds are.
Yeah,
So it
100%.
depends on what you like. I grew up there, so for me, it is what cricket grounds should be, but not everyone feels that way.
That's fair. All right, then. It's me with 2 turns in a row. Okay, so I'm happy I got this one because neither of you picked it. And it is my favorite ground to watch cricket on the TV. And, obviously I've never been there. But I'm going to go Newlands, Cape Town. And I feel like the tabletop mountain, or Table Mountain, not the tabletop mountain, kind of, makes it probably the most picturesque ground ever. And it's also pretty old, 1889. And also that Devil's Peak thing or whatever it is that hangs at the back. South African wickets are also quite spicy.
Yeah.
So you get to watch some exciting cricket over there. And I do not think there is a more beautiful ground out there. I don't know.
That's interesting. One thing, if you haven't been there, and I'm assuming you haven't been either, Estelle,
No.
the one thing that you can't see on the TV is that it's right next to the brewery. And I don't know if you've ever been near a brewery, but they stink.
Okay, that sucks.
And so on really hot days, you just smell the yeast coming over. I'm assuming it's yeast. It could just be the members. I don't know, but it's a really bad smell. Look, I love Cape Town as a city, and I think it's a great ground. I don't think I'm as high on it. And it'd be interesting because there are a lot of picturesque grounds that you guys will like from the TV, which I will probably be like, yeah, but the problem here is it's very hard to get to a restaurant straight out of this ground. And so I do think it cuts a little bit both ways. But yeah, that's fair. What's your next one?
Yeah, I mean, I would have never had that perspective. So for me, it's just how it looks like on the TV. And it's one of those grounds that I really wanted to go to, but now I might be thinking about taking some sort of, I don't know, air fresheners with me.
I'll say this, it's not all day, it's just at certain times.
Fair enough. My next ground, and I apologize for this, Estelle, is Galle. Because it's someplace where I've seen a lot of cricket on TV, once again. Pakistan used to tour Sri Lanka like every 2 years at one point, and Galle was always one of those venues where they would play a test match. Galle is also iconic for test cricket, and it has those fortress fields, has a fortress right next to it. It's on a fortress, right? It's very rustic, it's very close to the water, and then the crowd is always very pumped up with the trumpets and everything. You've got Percy in the stands at times. I'm not sure if Percy's still alive, and I hope he is.
He is.
He is?
Is
Good,
he?
good. Long live Percy.
I thought he wasn't, so I hope he is.
I don't think he is.
I don't think he is.
Oh my God. Rest in peace, Percy. But it is very, very iconic for test cricket. Shane Warne got to 500 over there, right?
Oh, I can't
500 wickets. I'm quite sure that happened. It was rebuilt after the tsunami, if I'm not wrong.
I'll just say rebuilt. There's nothing of it built. There's no actual ground there.
Yeah.
It really, that's the one thing. It's kind of an open cricket ground, which there's some really nice ones. There's some nice ones in New Zealand as well, Hagley Oval and things like that, where they're just kind of open. So it is interesting. My memory of it, just to go back to the smell.
Oh my God.
Oh, no.
Is that it never used to have, and I think they might have fixed it, but they might not have, but it never used to have running sewerage. And so at the end of the test match, they would have to pump out the toilets. And that is my overriding memory of that ground, is walking out at the wrong time and suddenly going, what is happening? Why does it smell like this? I love it. It's also one thing we don't talk about a lot. It's I know Galle's not really a town, but it's kind of on the edge of the town, isn't it? Like it's not like in the middle of nowhere or anything. It's
in the
it's
middle,
halfway between
actually.
the fort. Yeah, exactly. It's between the fort and the what would you call it? The modern centre of Galle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like basically the center of Galle, right? Because like the main bus stand, the train station, everything is centered there. Which makes it
I've
really
seen the
accessible and
visuals.
easy to get to.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've seen the visuals on TV and it seems accessible too. It seems like a place that I'd want to visit in general, like the city of Galle or the town of Galle. But you know what? There have been some very, very close encounters at Galle in terms of test cricket, and it's one of those surfaces that turns a lot, and it is a challenge to bat at Galle. I feel like it's my favorite place in Asia to watch a test match on TV. Yeah.
Interesting.
And I mean,
think
it's like...
you'd like it more if you came there, actually. I think
Yeah.
that
And
is
I'm-
pretty.
I think when you're there, it's like I've watched it on TV and I don't feel it. When you're there, there's something about it. And so generally when you stay there, you don't stay like, that's my children yell in the background. And hey, Zachariah, we're recording. Stop yelling. When you stay there, if you stay in the fort area, you just kind of walk around it and you don't do anything else. But you can actually stay on either of the beaches, on either direction. One side, Estelle will tell you, is a little bit English and a little bit nightclubby. But the other side is really, really nice. But then you just catch the tuk-tuk up along the beach. It just works on so many levels. All right. Let me look at the list here, 'cause I didn't know.
I'll fill in by talking about Galle
But
more. What
you've
a
probably
classic
been
venue.
to more than 15, right? Jarrod?
I've been to a lot of grounds, yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know whether... Oh, no, I know what I'm going to go next. And it's not on your list. I'm going to go with... oh, my God. Wanderers.
Okay.
Wanderers is incredible. I've had some of my favourite experiences ever as a cricket journalist, as a cricket fan in Wanderers. There's something about the acoustics in that ground that at a certain point, it just sounds different and feels different than any other ground. And on top of that, I was there. So during the one days, I think it's the Pink
Yes,
Games,
it is.
choirs come in and sing. And like, I don't want to piss on the West Indian bands or the Sri Lankan bands, but 50 people in a choir who can actually sing, belting out tunes is just incredible.
It's also kind of tiny, right? So you could really hear that music.
Yeah, so it's maybe 35,000 at most. They had the 2003 World Cup final there, and they had some temporary stands in, but usually they don't even have that.
They had the 400 chase game there.
Yeah, they've got their sort of. I just think it's a beautiful place. Joburg isn't one of the nicest cities in South Africa. It's not. I think it's a great city in its own right, but it's not as easy as a tourist to just walk around and chill out in. But at that ground, I feel like that is what Joburg would be if you're a local and you really like it there and everything else. And then the architecture of the ground is perfect. On top of that, it's a slam and pitch, right? So I think it's got a lot of things there.
All right, fair enough. Estelle, now you have 2 in a row. Let's go. Let's go,
Okay.
Pisara.
Yeah, I'm going with the SCG as my second one.
Can we delete her?
What do you have against the SCG? It's beautiful.
Well, it's in Sydney.
He's Victorian. Of course he has issues.
I actually think the FEG is like one of the stands has this weird thing that looks like it's going to flop. And if you go in the stand, it literally says no more than 23 people can go in this part of the stand.
Also, I don't have it on my list.
Yeah.
It didn't make my list either. Sorry.
But
Estelle.
people love it. People love it. So I'm not slagging you off for it.
Yeah,
I am, but
'cause
I'm not.
to me, it's kind of one of the most recognizable ones, right? If you're on, particularly from the inside, the seats, are they green? Some of them.
Yep.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So that's like, to me, growing up, that was one of the venues that we saw a lot on the TV. And I've been fortunate enough to be there. So it was like everything you saw on the TV in front of you. So it's difficult to go past that, like, on a personal note. So that's my number 2 pick.
I really like the outside bits of it, especially the modern bits that they've fixed behind the members and everything. But also, like, there's the one side's crap, but the other side, opens up onto the park and everything, and so you can go out. I like that side of it, but the stands are, I mean, they're just kind of crappy. Like, I mean, there's no other way of putting it. It's not the most comfortable place to watch cricket, especially in Australia where the grounds are incredible. Like the facilities are great. I think the SCG is maybe a step back there. But look, it's definitely a favourite. So
there are 2 more grounds in Australia that I like more than the SCG. I'll say that. But anyway, Estelle,
Yeah, I
pick
mean,
number 3.
I would have picked the MCG, but it's already gone, right? So, for my next one, I'll go with Eden Gardens just for the
that's a good one.
atmosphere. I think, the capacity is nowhere close to 100,000, but it feels like you have that many people
actually
inside, right?
Is close to 100,000.
well, it depends because there aren't 100,000 seats.
Yeah.
You can fit 100,000 people in there. Like I said,
Probably,
the MCG
yes.
once had 120,000. I'm not sure that was safe or good. So, it's not 100,000, and they don't usually get that close to 100,000 anymore, right? Like in the old days when they used to pack it in.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit annoyed you put this on the list. This is definitely my 3rd favorite cricket. It might even be my 2nd favorite, and I forgot it because it wasn't on his list, and I didn't know.
It's on my list, by the way, and it would have been my 3rd favorite. I just love Galle. But yeah, I mean, it is
No,
the
you
only
just
ground in
wanted
India.
to take it away from me, right?
I did want to take it away from you also. That's also true. And then there was the Percy plug, which was very unnecessary. But Eden Gardens definitely makes it, right? 1864, oldest stadium in India. And it was, Kolkata was the capital of British India. So maybe that had something to do with it.
Well, also, interestingly, Kolkata wasn't a huge cricket centre. Like, they play cricket in Kolkata, don't get me wrong, but it's the football city of India, right?
Yes.
So it is interesting that it was the heart of cricket in that way. It's also, I think it's run by the police, and it's run so poorly. Like, it's so dodgy, some of the stuff that goes on there and everything else.
It's a big surprise.
But I kind of love it. And it's impossible to walk to. They always have like a million bollards up and like ropes up, and you're never sure if you're going in the right direction. But I had the best meal of my life in Eden Gardens in the press box for an IPL game, fish curry. So, and I actually remember that day though, they had soft drinks in the fridge. And and it was locked because I went up to get a drink, as you do in a press box, and I was like, "Oh, it's locked." And then suddenly I went back to my desk, and there was a stampede behind me. Someone unlocked it, and everyone went and grabbed like 4 cans each. And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay." I love everything about it. It was just, and I've got a badge somewhere. Actually, Zed might have taken it, but I've got a badge that says Kolkata Cricket Board Press, because they gave you like badges, and it's still one of the coolest things I've ever got. It's somewhere around here as well.
That is pretty cool. I don't know if there are any Game of Thrones fans over here, but if you take Eden Gardens and Galle, then Eden Gardens is more like, King's Landing. But Galle is like Harrenhal, right? There are ruins in there. So I like that fortressy feel more. But yeah, it would have been everyone's third pick and Jarrod's second, but he didn't see it on my list.
Yeah.
It's on him. Anyway, you're up next. And now you're thinking.
I think I've got 2 in mind. And I don't think either of them are on your list.
Yeah, but they're not in order anyway, so you're not going to be stealing anything.
I'm going to go Trent Bridge.
Ooh, that wasn't on my list.
Yeah, so it's not the best ground. Like, as in, it's, it's kind of the worst ground. It's basically a roundabout. Like, there's no room. I don't know if you guys know, but they actually, when they put the new stand in, they just made the ground smaller on one side.
That fancy looking stand?
Yeah, the one on the road.
The triangle thing?
Yeah. So they just put it closer. So if you have a look, one of the boundaries doesn't match.
Wow.
And it's because they had no more room. And if you go around that stadium, that's what it's like. Some of the stands don't even feel like they're quite made for the middle of the ground. If
Also,
you know what I mean?
You're picking belters. First you pick Wanderers, now you're picking Trent Bridge.
You mean pitches?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Lots of runs.
But when I was a kid, I don't know what it was, but that was the ground that I didn't really like. Lords was fine and the Oval was fine and Old Trafford, but Trent Bridge was the one I was always like, that just sounds like I want to be there. The sound, because I listened to a lot of cricket on the radio back then. I wasn't old enough to stay up, and the sound just sounded different, and I wanted to go. And then when I play cricket on computer games, always pick Trent Bridge, and always have. It's only MCG or Trent Bridge are the only 2 grounds I would ever pick. Right. So unless I want it to spin and I find a wicket that drags sideways, but generally always go with that. So I know most people don't love it, and this has probably tanked me in this draft, but it is legitimately my favorite. It's got a pub in it. You guys know this. Like, there's a pub on the corner of the ground. Like, it's in the ground. It's absolutely perfect. It's got like curry houses across the road. It's got a football ground next to it. You can walk there from the city centre, and you walk along the canal, and it is not a particularly nice canal. But I do like walking beside water to get to a cricket
More
ground.
smells?
Is Stuart Broad's bar close to it as well?
Do you know what is close to it? As far as I'm aware, the only Hooters in England. You know Hooters?
Oh, yeah. Hooters.
The weird American chain with the
of course.
breasts.
Yes.
That is right next to Trent Bridge. It's like, so when you come out of a test day, if you get a taxi back in the city or you walk back into the city, as you're coming up, it's just like all these old men being really creepy with Hooters, which, to be fair, isn't a strength of this ground, but is a fact of this ground. Do you know what I mean? It's a living, breathing ground in a way that a lot of test venues now are kind of separate from their environment. And Trent Bridge isn't. It is literally, it can't move because it's in the wrong position. So there you go.
All right, then that's 3 done for you and Estelle. I get 2 turns in a row. And I'm going to go Kensington Oval, Barbados. Again, never been there, but boy, does it look beautiful. They've got a very similar media box to Lord's. It's very similar looking to the JP Morgan Media Center. And since I couldn't get Lord's, I'll go with this one. And they've got a pool. Who wouldn't want that, right? Like, one of my, checklist or not, bucket list items is to watch a game of cricket, preferably a test match from that pool, sipping on my drink. And I feel like that is an experience which no other ground can offer. And the solar panels are there, right?
Are they there?
Yeah,
I mean, broken every game now.
A quarter of them are broken for sure after this T20 World Cup. But I mean, that is a pretty forward-thinking sort of move. And I don't know, it's just pretty looking. And there has to be a West Indian ground on this list, right? Well, it would be unfair if there wasn't one.
What I love about that ground is because they have so many legends, like almost everything is named after someone. So it'll be like the 7th cubicle from the left, the Everton Weeks, if you know what I mean? Like, they've just run out of things to name for everyone. It's quite open on one side. I don't know if that comes across on TV, but it's kind of, so the beach side is quite open. I think it's the beach side, but towards the beach anyway, it's quite open, which is actually very, very nice. But it's also why, if you ever watch a game there, especially T20 one day, everyone just hits sixes to that side because the wind just blows out of the opening. But no, I like it. The West Indies grounds, I kind of like a lot of them. I'm not sure which one I like the most, which is where I probably come in a little bit there. I'm a little bit unsure.
The Kingstown one is also pretty neat looking.
Guyana.
No.
Oh, the one in
Saint Vincent and the Grenadines.
I love. It's not going to make my list, but I love the Guyana grounds.
Okay.
And it's kind of old and crappy and everything, but it feels like cricket used to be, and it's just been put together. And the crowd really make that a great environment too in Georgetown. But there's nothing wrong with that ground. Yeah. It's just
no. I'm quite happy with that pick.
You can take it.
All right, then number 4 for me. How did I? Oh yeah, because I go last, right? I do get my number 4 pick right now. Okay, this one might surprise you guys because I'm going to pull off a Jarrod over here. It's a ground that is close to my heart, may not necessarily be looked upon as a ground that is iconic, or maybe people in England might view it as that. It is, according to Tim Payne, the 16th most intimidating ground in the world, Edgbaston. And I have a personal memory attached to this. I visited England as a fan during the 2019 ODI World Cup, and I watched Pakistan versus New Zealand in that ground, and Babar scored a match-winning 100, went not out, and the crowd was so electrifying. I've watched games in Pakistan, I've covered games in Pakistan. The best Pakistan crowd that I have ever come across in my life is Edgbaston. They're crazy. And it is just like everyone is yelling, and it must be really intimidating for the opposition team as well. I know the Hollies do something similar for England when they play, because they always mention the Hollies whenever England are playing in Edgbaston. And often
that's the stand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The crowd in the Hollies.
Yeah, but the stand is the Hollies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they always, well, not always, but I've seen them schedule the first test of the series in Edgbaston.
They've tried to start that out.
Yes. Quite a few times now. And I mean, it's tiny, but the good part about that is that you're super close to the action. Like, you literally feel they're playing right in front of you. And also, I mean, unlike subcontinent stadiums, there's no like barbed wires or fences and that sort of stuff. Like the fielders or the fine leg fielder or wherever you're sat, they're right next to you. And I have never enjoyed a game of live cricket as much as I enjoyed that particular game, which is why Edgbaston has to make my list.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I love Edgbaston. It's always been one of my favorite grounds. When I first went there, I think it was before they redid it, and it's obviously a lot better now, facilities-wise. But no, I like Edgbaston. Again, it's not, for those who don't know, it's not in the heart of Birmingham. It's like kind of out a little bit.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's still within the city. It still feels within the vibe, if that makes sense. I am going to go with Malahide.
Ooh.
As my next ground.
But that's like a park, Jarrod.
So Galle.
No, but when there's no cricket in Malahide, there's no way to decipher that this is a cricket stadium.
Still a cricket pitch.
Yeah.
And that moves the pitch. It's an incredible atmosphere. It is a park, which sometimes I have trouble getting permission to move things around in, which is hilarious. There's lots of greenery around it because it's a park, but also where you can sit and everything. They have some temporary stands. Obviously, they bring in for some of the bigger games. Malahide is incredible. Like, it's this weird posh suburb on the end of Dublin. You come out of the ground and there's just bars everywhere. There's about 5 or 6 bars. Great food in Malahide as well. But there's also, I don't know if you know this, there's a cricket club in Malahide, as in Malahide Cricket Club. And it's just this small little cricket club that happens to host test matches. And they have to like fence it off during the game because the members, I think, still have to have access to their club or something weird like that. And so it makes it even more like a community aspect. And you don't really get... the grounds I really like are things like Hagley and Pisara and Malahide, because they're not actually cricket grounds. They shouldn't really be hosting them. But because of that, it reminds me more of club cricket, but at the international level. But it's beautiful. It's a great area. I like the wicket there's usually, can be quite interesting as well. It's good for limited overs games. No, I'm a huge fan of Malahide. I know eventually Ireland's going to have to move to an actual cricket ground.
Yeah, well, they have moved to Clontarf.
Well, no, Clontarf's the ground in Belfast.
Oh, is it?
So they have one in each. But eventually they're going to have to move to a proper stadium because obviously they need to get people in and own the ground and not play in a park. And I think it'll be a real shame because I do think that, we don't have that many of those kinds of venues left. But yeah, it's certainly, for me, it's very high up.
I have a fun Malahide story. So my brother and I were visiting my cousin in Galway, Ireland. And on our way back, we had a flight from Dublin and we had hours to kill. And my brother was like, let's just go and have a look at Malahide. We got there and there was nothing there. And I was like, what do you want a picture with? Like, I could take a picture of you anywhere, which is green. But I get what you're saying. It has that club cricket feel. And the Malahide Castle is right next to it, which is actually quite beautiful. I don't know if you've been there.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. It's a really great area. And you're kind of on the edge of Dublin.
Yes.
So, but Malahide has its own feel. And it's a really touristy place.
Yeah.
If you are a cricket fan, and you want to go to Ireland, go around an Irish test. I promise you, it's one of the best experiences of my life when I went for the Pakistan test, which I think and I've been for England ODIs as well. So I've been a couple of times.
That was a pretty good test match. Kevin O'Brien scored that done. Ireland could have won it. Yeah. Anyway, Estelle, last 2 picks for you.
Last 2 picks. Okay. I will go with, so you spoke about picturesque stadiums. Dharamshala is right up there, I think.
She's taken mine. I had Dharamshala as my last pick, but it's okay.
It is a relatively new stadium, but the view from inside is really beautiful. I don't think that the outfield is that great, or it didn't seem that great during the World Cup last year. But overall,
it's not.
Overall, one of the prettiest places, I think, to play cricket. A place definitely I'd want to visit one day.
Yeah, undoubtedly. I even like that red media box thing with the minarets. That's pretty cool looking. And then you can see the Himalayas or the foothills of the Himalayas from, the broadcast. And it is one of the most picturesque grounds. Like, since Eden Gardens was off the table, I did want an Indian ground and I had my eyes on Dharamshala, but I took Galle away from Estelle, so it's only fair that she takes Dharamshala away from me.
Mutton momos outside the ground are also incredible.
All right then. Okay,
you took Galle away from me, but you denied yourself of a story involving Jarrod and Lords and Galle and Twitter.
Oh, we didn't do this. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me.
So during lockdown, I got bored and I started doing almost like this. It was almost the birth of Crickpicks, really. But I would get people to vote on their favorite. It was cricket mustaches, bat designs, and cricket grounds was another big one. And so I did it. And it's one of those things that generally it was just hardcore cricket fans doing it. But for some reason, the ground one got hijacked by Sri Lankan Twitter. And so Galle just kept beating big grounds over and over again. And was it?
I have the thread here.
Lords? Was it Galle versus Lords or Galle versus the MCG in the final? Do you remember?
Galle beat the Wankhede round 1.
So, decent ground.
Then Dharamshala in round 2.
Another big ground.
MCG in round 3.
Wow.
And Lords in the final.
That's crazy.
That's like being the wild card and being all the top ranking tennis players on the way up, right? That was crazy.
Galle even Izovic'd it.
But this is where it gets funnier. Every now and again, I just get WhatsApped by random Sri Lankan people going, you won't believe this, but then another newspaper has written about this thread. And I think Rex Clementine wrote the original article, but it's been copied and pasted so many times.
Everywhere.
And you know how WhatsApp is. Once the aunties get going on the WhatsApp, right? So a new auntie will find it and send it to me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm aware.
No, and it went from a Twitter poll to it became Galle voted the most iconic grounds in the world.
Wow.
It turned into that.
Judge of anything.
You were wisdom or something.
And did you pick the brackets based on where people would want to go? Something like that?
I can't remember how I picked the brackets now, but I think it was, I tried to do it on most likely, MCG and Lords would have been 1 and 2, right? And Eden Gardens probably would have been 3. I tried to do it with a proper ranking. So I think Galle was a bit of it. I think I probably had Galle ranked higher than Wankhede, but I'm not sure I had it higher than Dharamshala. I certainly didn't have it higher than MCG or Lords, right? So it was about the 8th highest one, and it just stormed through. And every other thing I did, I think the most obvious thing won, and that was the first time where it didn't go. And then people just got so excited about it that suddenly I made the official list, and now Galle is the most popular cricket ground in the world.
And when you Google,
I don't feel too bad about picking it early then.
Yeah, so when you Google the most iconic cricket grounds, since I'm in Sri Lanka, and when I Google it, I get like 5 different articles of the results of that poll. But none of it
Ridiculous.
links to the actual tweet, okay? It just simply says
That's the source material
renowned
for the
cricket
articles.
statistician, cricket writer, whatever, conducted a poll, and Galle was. It doesn't even say it beat out MCG or anything. It just
You
says
should charge royalties for that particular poll.
It's not the weirdest thing I've ever made the Sri Lankan newspapers for. I don't know if Estelle remembers, but I once wrote an article about Mahela and Kumar and their relationship. And in it, I said that Steve Waugh and Mark Waugh shared a womb, and yet Mahela and Kumar are closer. Right? And this woman wrote an entire article saying that I was accusing them of being gay lovers.
Okay.
And it was printed in a Sri Lankan newspaper, and it was Rex Clementine's paper as well. And I said to him, dude, how did you allow them to do this? It's homophobic to begin with.
Yeah.
And also, why would 2 gay guys be in a womb? Do you understand how gay sex works, woman? Anyway.
They're in a ministry together of crabs.
Yeah.
Anyway, whose turn is it?
It is Estelle. She's got one more.
She has to finish up
Oh
over here.
yeah, my last one. So I'm going with the Oval, another vanilla pick to finish my round of 5. First ever Test match. I mean, although Lords is the home of cricket, Test cricket was kind of born at the Oval, right?
It is much older. I think 1724 is when cricket was first played at the Oval. So you're right about that.
Well, no, Test cricket begins at the Oval. You're right. Well, at the MCG, really, and the Oval, which is funny. But Lords takes over the laws, so it becomes very, very important in a different way. But it's great. I mean, the Oval was my local ground when I first moved to London. I absolutely love it. It's a great area of London around there as well. You've got sort of the gay district in Vauxhall. Then you've got the bar and club scene in Brixton all around it. Bars everywhere. It always makes me laugh when I go to the Oval and everyone goes, there's a pub called the Beehive, and I apologise to the Beehive. It's not a very nice bar compared to some of the others out there. And everyone packs into it. I'm like, follow me. I can show you 7 other places. But it's an incredible area. You're not that far from the river as well. I think where the Oval struggles is just space, right? There's like very little space around it. And they've redesigned it a little bit now to have slightly more space. But back in the old days, it's like, it was hard to walk around the actual ground, if you know what I mean. But for me, I think it's a really important one. First English Test, started the Ashes, but also I think it's the first venue that started gates.
Yeah, I think so. Also, the Don played his final innings over there, right?
I think he played his final innings at Ed. Oh no, you might be right.
Yeah, because they have a gate for that as well. The one he walked through when he failed to register an aggregate average of 100.
They also have this really funny thing where the main members bar is the Ali Martin bar, because not Ali Martin. Ali Martin's a cricket writer. Ali Brown bar, because he was the first guy to make a double 100 in men's List A cricket. And then upstairs, tucked away like in this tiny little bar, is the Mark Raprakash 100 bar. So I think you just went a little bit too early in the Ali Brown bar. And you could have waited, Sam Curran bar, all these sorts of things. I love the Oval. I think it's a really cool venue.
I haven't watched a game there, but I have taken a tour of the Oval. And it's a shame I haven't watched a game there.
I got married there.
Oh, no way.
I forgot that.
That's insane. But when I did go for the tour, heart of London, you can see the skyline and everything. And the stands are like really grand, right? Lords doesn't have that thing that the Oval does. The stands are colossal, and it seems like the viewing experience would be much better in a way, at least from a sound perspective. It has more of a Colosseum feel, you could say,
Yeah, I think it is. It's a very different kind of ground to Lords as well, even the people who go. So I think you're right.
And the Surrey Museum is pretty cool as well. I enjoyed that. So there's more to it. And of course, it does have a lot of character. But those are pretty good final picks, Estelle. I think you've done well or finished well over here.
Now,
your start was dodgy, though.
No,
are we going to get it? No, you go. Yeah. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, that's like the safest pick ever, right? Lords. It's like picking Bumrah in every other Crickpicks we do.
It's like picking Don Bradman or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's like more.
It's even more vanilla than Bumrah. Now, I got some issues here.
You have your final pick, right?
I have my final pick. We haven't picked Adelaide Oval, and I won't be picking it. But we are going to get slammed for not picking Adelaide Oval, and I don't care. I like the restaurants outside of Adelaide Oval. Okay, so I am going to go with one that it's fun. I was just looking up. Bleacher Report has like the top 25 grounds, and my one's on it. So at least I did check. I was trying to make sure that I wasn't on my own with this ground. I've never been to the Basin, and I think of all the grounds in the world that I haven't been to, other than the Ahmedabad Stadium, which I'd love to go to as well, and obviously everything in Pakistan and Bangladesh, which I haven't been to. I think the Basin would be really high up, and I'm hoping I might be able to go at the end of the year. And I was thinking about the Wacker. The Wacker is such a shithole, and it's too hot in Perth, that I don't think I can go there. So I'm going to go St. George's Ground in Werka.
Oh!
Okay. I'm not sure I'm getting right.
Formerly Port Elizabeth.
Formerly Port Elizabeth.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful little park. It's kind of like on a hill, sort of. Everyone walks there from different directions. Again, you see this thing for me. I really like that they're communal grounds, if you know what I mean. And you come in.
Yeah.
It's not a full stand ground again, so it's got banks and you can sit under the old scoreboards and things like that. It's got a really crappy old stand, but in that stand is where the band plays, and another great band. I just love it there. There's something about it. It feels kind of cheap and old and nice all at the same time. So yeah, it's maybe not one of the more famous ones, but I don't really like the Adelaide Oval. Sorry, before you pick it, but it's. I just think it's a very underrated stadium. I think these days, because Cape Town is seen as the better tourist destination, people have Burqa doesn't get as much attention. But when I was traveling as a fan, they were the two tourist grounds that you went to in South Africa, and they were both fantastic. So yeah, and I'm a big fan of that ground. I really like it. It's probably now, it's not a very big city anymore. So I think the other grounds have all kind of just bigger and better. Yeah. But it was, back in the day, I just thought it was a really cool thing. You can go down to the surf coast on the other side of it, J Bay, I think it's called, and all those sorts of things. It's really cool. Interesting
last pick. The Adelaide Oval is definitely on my list because I think the stands and the roof, it's all very beautiful and, same picturesque sort of aesthetically pleasing ground, but I'm not going for it. And people will probably slam us for this. And now I'm confused between two grounds. One of them is the Basin Reserve because you've got the hills, you've got the trees. There's it's
a roundabout again.
Yeah, grass banks, chilled out atmosphere, low-key stands. It's the sort of place you just want to relax, get yourself a drink and enjoy some test cricket. And I've always enjoyed watching cricket on the TV at the Basin Reserve. And I mean, Wellington is probably a cool place, right? I haven't been, but I would assume most of New Zealand is cool. And then the other one that I'm confused with is the Lucknow Stadium, the Ikana.
Oh, interesting.
It's a very cool looking stadium with the whole flower petal thing. The crowd is electric. The DJ is absolute fire. And then you've got that media box, which is like an apartment complex. I kid you not. There are apartment complexes out there which look like that media box. So it's a tough one for me. It's either electrifying crowd and, massive stadium or a chilled out one. And since I don't have an Indian ground on there, I'm going to go Ikana.
Yeah,
let's go with Lucknow.
I think that's a decent one. Do you know, that is probably another one on my list that I would love to go to that I've never been to. I think that's a very decent option as well. I think the Basin is unlucky, but being that we've already annoyed people with Adelaide Oval, I think it's okay to also piss off New Zealand.
I feel like the UAE grounds are a bit unlucky as well.
Yeah, they're shit to get to, aren't they? They're nice.
Yeah, Abu Dhabi has the UFO thing. Yeah. Dubai is massive with the Ring of Fire. Sharjah is iconic in so many ways, right?
Yeah.
Some that people like and some that people don't.
So you had the Gabba on you. So that's the end of it.
I did have the Gabba on my long list.
You know the Gabba's shit.
I mean, it's the fortress or former fortress of Australia.
It's a shit stadium. They built it up, and somehow they made the most soulless, boring, terrible stadium.
What's it called?
It's a real shame. What was that?
Isn't it called something? Or is that a different stadium in the same city?
Are you talking about the one in Brisbane?
Yeah.
No, the Gabba.
Gabba.
Did they redo it? Did they redid it?
Oh,
right?
they redid it about 25 years ago. But
Okay.
it's crap. It's really a crap stadium. I remember, the first time I went there, I was so disappointed in it. And I don't love Adelaide Oval, as we've already discussed, but like Adelaide Oval, at least I'm like, I get it. I understand this, and it looks good at sunset, Adelaide Oval, which is a very important part. Headingley is another one that I love going to, but is a bit of a shithole.
Now, I didn't enjoy my time at Headingley because we had like a really shit stand where I could see the cricket from like a 90-degree angle. It was really, really high, and I like to be a bit more level.
Yep.
But then we found place next to the bar because it was a Pakistan-Afghanistan game. So we just went and sat there.
Old Trafford I really like.
Yeah,
but
Old Trafford misses out.
The problem with Old Trafford at the moment is half of it is like a temporary stand all the time. But I still really like it. And also I like the fact there's 2 Old Traffords and everything. Supersport Park is one of my favourites.
Yeah. If I had one more pick, I was definitely going with Basin Reserve. Like there were no two like thoughts in my mind. That was definitely the one. I still kind of feel bad that it's missed out because it's just such a beautiful place to be.
Oh, I love Wankhede as well. I don't know if I mentioned that. I couldn't quite, once you put the Wanderers on, it's like there's no real point having Wankhede because they're very similar. But every time I've ever been to Wankhede, I've absolutely enjoyed every moment of it.
I would throw in, like in the long list, which I didn't have over here, apart from the UAE grounds, Rawalpindi is there for me because I grew up there. So I was watching a lot of cricket when I was growing up, and when like before that time when cricket kind of was, or Pakistan went into exile. And even now when I go to watch or cover cricket at the Rawalpindi Stadium, it is the most electric crowd in all of Pakistan. It is a proper experience. You're also very close to the action over there, like Edgbaston. It's not like, it doesn't have a high capacity, right? So not a lot of people, but when you are in the crowd, you feel like this is like at least 50,000 people.
Can I ask Estelle about one that I'm a bit surprised you haven't brought up at all? Pallakali.
It is quite nice. I just
It's
feel
a
like
friggin' bowl of grass in the mountains.
yeah, it is nice. I feel like the problem with the newer Sri Lankan stadiums are that they're too big. So it doesn't look good like even during game time because it's never really full, right? Except when Australia were here and Pallakele was like overflowing. It is quite beautiful. Actually, my second favorite would have been the R Premadasa just because like having watched house full games there, the atmosphere is incredible and capacity.
It's very similar. It's very similar to Georgetown, the Guyana one, where it kind of the crowd overcomes the crappiness of the surroundings.
It's interesting because go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, like we spoke about the Eden Gardens, although the capacity is very low, I think it's like 35,000 or something like that. I think they packed like 50,000 in because there's no way 35,000 are making that amount of sound, right? Because the outside streets are vibrating. The atmosphere is really great. Another one I would like to visit one day, and I don't know if it'll ever happen, but is the Harare Sports Club. I think the atmosphere when Zimbabwe plays is really, it's just that, again, the music and all of that, it's a really good feel. So, yeah.
So I just want to, let's finish this off with Pisara. So I went to Pisara, and there's literally, as you're coming up to the ground, there's just like livestock walking around the ground. There's no actual gates. I don't know why anyone bought a ticket because anyone could have walked in at any stage. And they had the old scoreboard, but obviously cricket has changed a little bit, and now we have DRS. And so they had this little chalkboard, and this old lady would get up and would mark the DRSs as they happen on the chalkboard. And if you go to my Instagram, that is the photo. It's from Pisara, from DRS with that. I absolutely love that ground. Again, like I was saying with Malahide and Hagley, just because they're proper cricket grounds, even if they're in no way cricket stadiums. Should we go through the list?
Yeah, I also want to end on one. Multan is a really good and cool looking ground.
Say that again because I coughed over it.
Oh, I just want to finish off with Multan as well. I feel like it deserves a mention. It's a very picturesque ground, probably the best looking ground in Pakistan. But the only reason why I didn't go for either of Rawalpindi or Multan or Gaddafi is because the viewing experience isn't great. You get all of these big, what do you say? What do you even call those things?
Pillars?
Not even pillars. They're like barbed wired fences, you know, so that the crowd doesn't come in. And that blocks your view unless you're high up enough. And then also, there wasn't cricket in Pakistan for about a decade.
Yeah.
So they're still kind of learning how to improve the fan experience, which is the only reason why I didn't even opt for Rawalpindi, because I'm born in Rawalpindi and I've seen a lot of cricket over there. But yeah, I feel like maybe in another 10 years, if we do this, one of those grounds could make it.
Yeah, that's why I didn't put the whacker on. I kind of love the whole thing of the whacker. But geez, it was a shithole. Like, it was such a shithole.
That's Gaddafi for you. Great atmosphere, but I do not want to go through that experience of getting in.
Estelle went Lords, SCG, Eden Gardens, Dharamshala, and the Oval. That's pretty strong. I went MCG, Wanderers, Trent Bridge, Malahide, St George's Park. Is that all of mine? Yep.
Yep, those are yours.
Oh.
I'm not winning this one. Behram went Newlands, Galle, where is he? Kensington Oval, Edgbaston. Oh, what was the last one again?
Lucknow.
Lucknow.
The Ikana Stadium. I think it has another official
Let's
name.
just give this one to Estelle.
Me.
I mean, let the people decide. They can let us know who wins this in the comment section below.
I mean, they are going to decide on Estelle.
Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And, we'll be back with another episode of Crickpicks next week. Do let us know in the comment section below who you think wins this. And yeah, have a good one, guys. Goodbye.
If you make any content, Minvo Pro is the tool for you. Take your long format content and cut it and slice it for social media. This AI-inspired weapon will turn your one piece of work into so many clips. Try Minvo.pro now.